welcome back to the channel. If this is you, fix it now. One of the major issues I see in the game of disc golf, or hear after the round, or see on social media is, I played today and I had 9 ace runs. So again, that's why these angles matter, because I can throw a disc 40 feet right and get it to skip to the pin, the same way I can land that same disc 10 feet right of the pin and stick it. So the more that I play disc golf casually, or just with friends or people in the community, I learned that this is something that needs more attention. In my previous video, my number 5 tip was disc selection, and it got me thinking more about what does disc selection mean, right? Like, some of you guys might say, oh, well, no duh, I'm gonna pick the right disc for the shot. And in my previous video, the point was like, you know, if you throw it 250 feet, you shouldn't be using the Emperor, you might be wanting to use the Artifact. And that was simply just saying, like, you don't want the disc to be fighting you. This is one of the only sports where you are throwing something and the variants are different, right? Like a golf club, the actual club head, whether it's a blade or a player's iron or whatever, is going to, you know, impact how well you hit it and how forgiving it is. But in a disc, I think it's more important. And I think it's more important than any of that you're selecting the correct disc for the correct shot. And you might say, well, no duh. But I think a lot of the times it depends on the terrain. It depends on what your goal is, right? If there's a $5,000 ace pot, your disc selection needs to change versus if you're just trying to make birdie and win league. With that being said, this is to improve your scores. This is for you guys that maybe don't understand this concept to understand it better. And this is for those of you guys that are aspiring amateurs going into the pro ranks sometime soon, or that's your goal, to also kind of understand the pros mindset. I realize there's a lot of coaches online. Not a lot of them are actual players that have had success and played on the tour, which means this is valuable to you guys because most people aren't even teaching you the correct form, let alone how to manage a course in a high pressure situation. So my number 1 tip is gonna be to choose less disc to control it into the green where possible, right? I don't mean overthrow, right? So if our goal is to throw 80% every time, that way we're able to control the angle, we're able to control the flight of the disc, and we're able to control the landing. I want you to throw the slowest disc in this situation to get to the pin. And you're gonna say, well, that doesn't really make much sense. But it's like, if you're gonna throw your buzz 88%, and you can throw the next disc down, whatever that might be, the Artifact, whatever it is, and throw it 80, that's the goal. And I'm gonna explain to you why that's very important. So depending on the terrain that we are traversing here, and obviously this isn't a very good place to make the point, but I want you guys landing the disc 20 feet short of the pin. So when you range find and it says 300, theoretically I want you to be thinking 275, 280. And what that's going to do for you guys, that's going to give you guys an opportunity to have the disc, if it's a slow disc like the Artifact, to just land, kind of scoot a little bit, 5 or 10 feet, and you're going to have a 10 to 15 foot putt. And if you're throwing a disc like this, it's going to probably kind of get a little bit bigger of a skip and maybe even be 10 or 15 feet past the pin. But one of the major issues I see in the game of disc golf, or hear after the round, or see on social media is, I played today and I had 9 ace runs. You shouldn't be having 9 ace runs if you're playing for score. Like I said, there's a $5,000 ace pot, whole different conversation. I'm teaching you guys how to be better at disc golf, not how to win the local ace pot, right? So I want you guys to always think, and the reason this is tip number 1, because I think it's so important, and I think this is the reason why early in my career, I was in the top 10 a bunch, and I putted absolutely horribly, is because I had so many putts from here to the camera that you couldn't miss even if you tried, that I had rounds, and this is before stat keeping, I had rounds where I promise you I had 17 to 18 circle 1 putts and shot 10 under par. So that means I missed 7 or 8 circle 1 putts, and I'm not talking like deep circle 1 32 footers, I'm talking like 20 feet, right? But the number 1 thing I can tell you guys, whether you're the lowest level, entry level player who's just getting into the game and is absolutely loving it, or you're 1,000 rated and you're like, how can I get into the pro ranks? Throw the disc short of the pin. You do not want to make it, you do not want to use this disc from 200 feet, have it landing pin high, skipping, and all of a sudden you're 35 feet on the left side of the pin on a 200-foot hole. That is not what you want. You want to be controlling something like this, or whatever the slowest disc you can control at that 80% range. That's what you want to do in order to get to the pin, because what that's going to do, it's going to give you more putts. Now some of you guys are watching this going, man, this guy thinks we're dumb. I don't think you're dumb. I think that people don't understand this. I play with guys on tour who still make these mistakes when they're just right here and they're throwing a disc, they're flexing it, and it's getting ground play. You want to play the ground, which I'm going to get into, and you want to realize the goal is to get it as close as possible, not be as close as possible. Right, like the disc, you should theoretically have the disc be the closest to the pin ever when it stops, not at any other point in the flight, right? Whether you're skipping this way and the basket's here, oh, it's really close, oh, it's 30 feet. Oh, it's really close, oh, it's 30 feet. No, you want it to be going, that's the closest that it was. That's my opinion. Let's get into these other steps. So the second thing is simply going to be to control the angle that your disc is landing on. Because here's the thing, right? If you land 20 feet short, and it's on hard pan dirt, we've all played on courses like that, and you're landing 20 feet short with, again, this disc, my signature Hill Emperor, infinidisc.com, you're gonna land 20 feet short, and then it's just gonna skip to 20 feet left or 30 feet left, right? So you need to be controlling where the disc is coming into the green. And again, this seems obvious, and I agree that it does seem obvious, but if you want this disc to land 20 feet short of a pin, because say there's water 15 feet behind it, right? So you have pretty much 35 feet of room to work with. The pin happens to be kind of in the middle. You want it to be coming in, boom, skip into that line of the target, right? You don't want it landing 40 feet right, because it's probably not going to skip that far, especially from a shorter distance. And you don't want it landing right in front of the pin, because it's going to skip past it, and that's hard pan, right? Now this grass is super soft. So if I were to be throwing to this pin here, which you could hopefully see, I could throw any shot in the world. There's no shot I couldn't throw. Because one, if I throw this disc and I land it 20 feet short, it's gonna Velcro and be right there. And if I could throw it 600 feet in the air, and as long as I do the apex correctly, I'm gonna be parked. So my point here is to simply tell you guys, no matter what way you're playing, whether it's a Spike Kaiser, landing left like an idiot, like I just told you guys not to, but you see how soft that is, right? It just hit and went. So I'm really only 20 feet away, and that's a miss. So the point of what I'm telling you guys here is your miss needs to be controllable. Because this shot, that was really easy, right? I just went like this and it hit, and even I got lucky and it bounced back to the pin. This shot, I'm not gonna hit that lucky, right? If I early release it like that, it's gonna go left. And this disc has a bunch of glide, so as it goes left, it's just gonna get further and further from the pin. When it hits the ground, it's gonna stop. It's not gonna go backwards. So, point proven, I'm 25 feet left there. So, overall, my point here is manage your disc, manage how hard you're throwing your disc, and then choose what the terrain allows. Because again, that first shot that goes like this, and the reason I'm displaying this to you guys here on this muddy grass field is because as that disc goes like this, if it's landing on something crazy, it's gonna skip. And if it doesn't, so if I was playing this in a tournament, right, I'd probably grab my RPM disc Katuku, which you can also get on Infinite Discs, and I'd probably throw it right at this dead spot in the air up here, kind of, or this low, let me see, right here. I throw it right in there and try to just land it, because this disc is fast enough and sharp enough, even though it's just a mid-range, to kind of dig into that wet grass if I like absolutely dart it, but it's also to where if I throw it a little too flat and it's a little too far right, it's going to get a little bit of play if it's not on that hyzer angle. So again, that's why these angles matter, because I can throw a disc 40 feet right and get it to skip to the pin, the same way I can land that same disc 10 feet right of the pin and stick it. So there we go, coming in just short of the pin, pop, literally circled the pin. So again, I landed it a little deep, but this 20-foot thing, again, doesn't really apply in grass this thick. I'm talking about when you're playing on a slippery surface or there's water behind the hole, the goal needs to not be 300 feet, right? Like I said, you need to think 275, because most of the time, for me at least, when I'm in a tournament or I see people in a tournament, we all go, oh, we threw it further than we did in practice or whatever. You get a little adrenaline. So it's like you don't want to be planning for at the pin when 15 feet long is OB, because then you just sail it in the water. So try to think short. Your body's going to compensate. You know how far it is in your head. That's why you probably have the rangefinder and do all that stuff. So it's all about disc selection there, right? The pink one is a little too much disc for the shot for me. So I kind of early released it and went left. The blue one, I don't want to throw the touchiest shot from this close, right? Because to throw a dead straight shot, even though it's wide open and dead straight's fine, you kind of got to work the disc a bit, right? You got to get it to flip up flat, not turn too much, to where if I was in a tournament and this was for the win, haven't played for the win for a while, by the way, just so you guys know, but I would have thrown that Katuku out there and just kind of let the overstability of the disc help me be able to kind of pull it right if that's my miss, because I'm nervous and there's stuff going on, but also at the same time have a disc that as it goes into the grass is going to kind of bounce, skip and settle, right? Because I don't want to throw anything that's going to do a crazy skip, and I also don't want to throw anything on an angle that's going to dig. Hopefully this helps you guys. I think this is a big step to improving in disc golf and understanding when to do a certain shot or when to not, because I think there's a lot of people here who, again, see this straight shot and just think, I'm going to throw it straight at the pin. You do not have to do that. Use the angles, use the discs, use the terrain in order to improve your game. Thank you guys so much. I'm Drew Gibson, Infinitus Squatch Bags. I will see you in the next one.